Hey everyone, welcome to Financial Revelations. We are back after a week off because my production staff was taking a kid back to college. She couldn't have been happier, apparently. The refrigerator's full again without a teenage kid eating everything in sight. Don't forget, you can go to sinofretirement.com, thesinofretirement.com, where you can get some new merch. We're going to put up some new merch on there, some Lake America shirts in honor of Canadian tariffs, which we'll talk a little bit about today. There's a new design for the Communism Sucks shirt where communism is in red. Thank you, Leo, for that suggestion. You can also buy a book there. We have an audio book that's available. We have a Kindle book that's available, The Sin of Retirement. And shortly here, very shortly, probably within the next month or two, we're going to come out with a small group study for the Sin of Retirement and an individual workbook for the Sin of Retirement. And what it does is it allows you to kind of write your ideas down, put pen to paper about what you want retirement to look like. And I've always told people the worst thing that you could retire to is nothing. Do not retire to nothing. It's a death sentence is what it is. We're created to create, to build, to grow, to prosper. And I want you to do those things. It's not just about money. I can handle the money part. I'll help you prosper financially. But that's a small part of the equation of retirement. We need to be thinking more about it. We need to think often about it. It's not something that you wait until retirement to do. You do it before you retire. And so as you're getting to that point in your life where you're approaching retirement within, let's say, 5 years, I want you to be thinking about what is coming next. You don't have to grind it in stone. It's not a contract that we're going to hold you accountable for. But it is something that I want you to be cognizant of and thinking about. Also, Nativos, USA, in news from Mauez, our pastor Marcos got robbed and stabbed, and it was kind of traumatic. He's okay. He did have to have a small surgery, but there's an interview on Facebook about it where a local reporter interviewed Marcos, who forgave I don't think they've caught the bandit yet, but they will. I mean, most likely the guy disappeared into the jungle or went to Manaus, is my guess. But eventually, they will catch him. They've got a great picture of the guy, and but they're building a church there. We've got a trip going there in April of next year, and I just forwarded Kory some pictures of the church construction. I just received them a couple of days ago, so those are going to be on the video if you want to see the church construction. And it's going to be a nice building, and if you want to be part of that, that would be great. If you want to donate to it, they don't have the money to build it. We're raising the money, and they're raising money too. It's not just us. Brazilians are contributing, and Americans are contributing, and Slavic Full Gospel, this great church on Wallings Road in Cleveland, is contributing. This is a powerful church. I'm telling you, you gotta see it to believe it. But if you want to donate, you can go to nativosusa.org, nativosusa.org. You can see pictures. More pictures of the church there. You can see what we're doing. All the money will go to Brazil, and you can keep them in prayer too. They definitely need prayer for a lot of things, not just the robbery. And it's not just the robbery. It's not getting robbed. It's the emotional toll getting attacked in your own home takes on people. It could be traumatic. I mean, people, if you've ever suffered from PTSD, you kind of wake up in the middle of the night, you think of somebody robbing me again. It's just keep Marcos and his family in prayer right now. They definitely need it. And we love this family. They're great. All the missionaries in the Amazon sacrifice a lot to be there. So we want to always keep them in prayer no matter what, but especially right now. So if you don't mind, pray for them. Let's talk a little bit about Iran, because it is in the news that it's a fact that their military is degraded to the point where they're essentially neutered. They can't really do a lot. They just attacked a ship in the Strait of Hormuz yesterday evening. So they can do some selective things, but they got to be really careful because once they show their hand, once they expose something to daylight, we're going to bomb it. And so they got to be really careful. And that's what you're seeing right now, intermittent strikes. But more importantly than that, they're economically devastated. They're in what I would call great economic distress right now, where you have hyperinflation. You're talking about 80, 90, 100% inflation. Okay, it's difficult for us to quantify what this actually means, but let me just put it in perspective for you. If you're getting paid, which is a big if in Iran right now, you have to buy stuff the day you get paid. Because tomorrow it's going to be $10 more expensive. That's hyperinflation. So you cannot keep money in the bank. So there's runs on the bank. You have to buy hard assets. It's the only thing that holds value, and we're shutting off their access to hard assets as a government, which would mainly be gold and crypto. But if you're living in Iran, if you're just an average person living in Iran, the moment you get paid, you got to run to the grocery store, the gas station, and if there's gas, if there's food, you got to buy it because your money's going to be worth 10% less the next day. So you think, well, if I'm not going to be 10% less hungry tomorrow, but I will be 10% less filled in my grocery cart tomorrow. So there's runs on food, there's runs on fuel, and we don't want to hurt the average people of Iran, but that's what it's a quandary, to be honest. We want the government to play ball. We would gladly welcome them into what I would call the League of Nations. And what does that mean with the League of Nations? It's just a term that I use to talk about like normal countries. Not normal like Canada or Europe because they're socialist, but normal in the fact that for the Middle East, more like Qatar or a Saudi Arabia where they conduct business, they're probably never going to make an agreement with Israel. The Abraham Accords were a big thing about normalizing relations with Israel. I doubt that Iran is going to do that. Okay, but if they stopped trying to kill everybody in Israel, that would be a big step forward. So what we're doing right now, we have this Operation Economic Outcast, which I think the Treasury Department should have went to Fifth Avenue to name that because it doesn't roll off the tongue, to be honest. But it's meant to isolate them and to create a change in regime. It's probably not going to work. On the isolation part, it will work. But if we don't isolate them from China, they have a land bridge to China. They can roll trains and trucks in there. We got to start blowing up train tracks and things like that. So it makes it way harder. Like if you're bringing in goods at a large amount, a train is the way to do it. A train or a boat. So if you could cut off shipping, which our Navy has done, now you got to deal with rail lines, and you got to blow up supply lines. Now they'll lay new tracks. So what do? You send another missile. You give them the pointy end of a missile. That will slow China's ability to resupply Iran. But there's a country just 90 miles off the shores of Miami. We have been isolating Cuba now since the 1960s. And the Castro family is still in power there. So I just don't have a lot of confidence that we're going to be able to economically isolate Iran enough to create a regime change. It's just, when the populace doesn't have guns, is really tough because you're getting shot at and you're getting killed. And we got to do one of two things. We either got to finish the job militarily or arm normal people. And we did try to arm normal people. It didn't work. So I don't know what's going to happen aside from oil's going to stay a little bit elevated. It's actually behaving very well. I've been saying this for the last couple of month or so. We're at war with the country, and oil's at $82 a barrel. So my guess is that we're going to pretty much open the strait and we're going to wait them out, and we're just going to be in like a stalemate. That's what I would call it. We're in a stalemate with Iran. They want to kill us. We don't really want to kill them, but we will. I think we should. They don't call me for advice yet, but maybe they will. I don't know, maybe President Trump will watch this podcast and say, you know what we need in the White House right now? We need Dave. That's what we need. And then when I go there, I'm going to wear my sash. It says Supreme Leader. I think he'll get a kick out of that. Let's talk a little bit about Canada, because we are in a big fight with one of our bigger trading partners, Canada. As you know, I think Canada sucks, mainly because of their bacon. Not their people. Their people are really nice and polite, and they're probably just doing the best that they can. But I was in Mexico one time, and I just had ankle surgery. And I saw a guy there with the familiar 3 dots on his knee, which meant that he just had knee surgery. And I struck up a conversation with him, and he said, I had to wait almost a year to get this surgery. I said, well, what did you do for a year? He said, oh, they gave me pain pills. That's how bad the medical availability is, access to medical care in Canada. An average guy who was, he was in pretty good shape, had to wait a year for surgery. I had gotten diagnosed with my ankle on a Friday, and I had the surgery the next Friday. He could not have gotten that. I would have had to limp around for a year if I was in Canada. They will suicide you, though. They will do assisted suicide very quickly for you, because that permanently takes you out of the medical system. And there are people that are going to Canada to do assisted suicide. Do I love this? No, I don't. I think I understand it a little bit better now. I have compassion for people who are thinking this way. I don't want to ostracize them. I have read stories about people they had chronic conditions that, I don't know, in my mind didn't seem that bad. But they did have an assisted suicide. And I think, I don't like that. I don't know. Maybe you have a different opinion. So, but, Canada is not a bad place. Their bacon sucks. I just booked a ticket on Air Canada. Kind of broke my heart, but I get miles for it on United, so I'm okay with that. And, they've gotten worse, really. Mark Carney, the prime minister, he's what I would call a global elitist. So he's worked for the World Bank, left wing, super left wing. He was a UN climate change envoy. Do I need to even go any further? He believes in climate change. When you book a ticket on Air Canada, they give you an option to do a carbon offset. So we're going to Brazil for a wedding. The carbon offset was $70 a ticket. Like, no, I'm not paying for that. You pay for that. I don't believe in climate change. I think climate's change. I just don't think I'm the cause of it. So they've never been able to prove that I'm the cause of climate change. And almost all the studies, they always find out, they tweaked the data to make it look worse. They augmented the data. They lied about the data. He was an advisor to Justin Trudeau, who's cavorting around the globe with Katy Perry. Now, I don't blame him for that. Katie's kind of cute. But he looks, I can't even say it. He looks bad. He was a Bank of Canada governor and he worked at the Bank of England. His goal is really to keep the globalist order in place. And what he's doing is he's placing a massive bet that Trump is going to lose the midterms. Now, that's not going to help him because Congress does not control the tariffs. But he's placing a massive bet against Trump and Trump's plan to break the globalist elitist hold, a chokehold on the global economies. That's what Trump is trying to do. Now, a lot of people could argue, well, you should allow capital to flow to the least restrictive environment. And I believe that. And capital will flow to the least restrictive environment. The problem is, I don't think Canada's the least restrictive environment. In fact, it's a restrictive environment for capital. 72% of Canadian trade comes to the United States. Carney's wife lives in the United States. She doesn't even live in Canada. His kids were educated in the United States. Do you know what the population of Canada is as of today? 41 million people. And 75% of the 41 million people live within an hour of the U.S. border. They need the United States way more than the United States needs Canada. Now, don't get me wrong. We do get goods and services from Canada. Lumber is a big one. But we also we could change where we get lumber. See, when you have an economy that is as diverse as the United States, arguably, it's not even arguable, it is a fact. We are the most diverse economy in the history of mankind. There's never been a more diverse economy than what we have right now. So we can, it's a little bit like turning around an aircraft carrier. You don't just stop the aircraft carrier and spin it. It takes a minute to turn the aircraft carrier into the wind. But when you do it, everything that was left behind is going to be just that. It's going to be left behind. So this massive bet that Carney is placing on the midterms, if they are wrong, it's going to devastate Canada. If they are right, it's still going to devastate Canada. It's one of the dumber things that I've seen happen in global economics in a while. And the reason he's doing it is not even really for Canada. What they're doing is China is shipping steel to Canada, and then Canada is selling it to the United States as Canadian steel. So it's basically they're a conduit for China to circumvent tariffs. And we know this. It's not hard to figure this out. We know what ships into Canada. We know where it ships to. And so what we basically told them is, we're going to tariff your steel because you're cheating. And that's why Carney blew up the trade deal. We're more than fine with that. Blow it up because you need us. We have states with more population than Canada. And that's why we're going to rename Lake Ontario to Lake America. I love the fact that Trump wants to do this. I love it. We have the Gulf of America now, right? You can get a Gulf of America t-shirt on my website. Liberals hate it. I love it. It's the midterms are going to be important. It's not going to change immigration policy if we lose the mid. When I say we, I mean the Republicans. As you know, I vote Republican. It's not because I'm necessarily a Republican. It's because they most closely align with my thoughts economically. Now, we just crossed $40 trillion of debt on the country. So certainly they're not aligning with my fiscal policy. Now, we're always going to have a debt. We need a debt. And I know that sounds weird because when you think of your personal finances, the goal is to get out of debt. But because we're the world's currency, the dollar is the world's currency, part of the reason for that is because the world relies on our debt. Japan, China, European countries, Canada buy our debt because it's guaranteed and it pays pretty good. And so they take some of their money and they buy our debt. And we have so much currency out there. That's what allows us to be the world's currency. And that's very important. We always want to be. Oil trades in dollars. Gold trades in dollars. It doesn't trade in the yen or the British pound or the euro. It trades in dollars. And we want to maintain that status. That's very important to our economic system. But if we lived with $18 to $24 trillion in debt, that would be okay. That's actually manageable for us. And so eventually we're going to have to get there, and we might have to step on the third rail of politics to do it, which is entitlements. And I think what we should do is just extend, we're living longer. So somebody who doesn't vote yet, like they're 12, for them, make the full retirement age in Social Security 73. because they're going to live to be 110, most likely, unless there's another pandemic. So those are the things that we're going to have to do eventually, but Canada's in trouble. Just know that Canada's in trouble. We're not in trouble. Some of our costs might go up, but it's going to be relatively small compared to what Canada's going to do. And we're defending our country. We're defending our industry. People are bringing production back to the United States. We actually have a really good economy right now. And know that our economy is thriving while the rest of the world is suffering. If you go to France, England, Germany's putting their car companies out of business for electric vehicles. It's silliness. What's going on is silliness. And they're still dealing with unmitigated immigration from Northern Africa, and they have no plans on changing. And they're watching it destroy the fabric of their economy. We're in a great spot right now economically, and I think you're going to see this shape up, especially if we can end this war in Iran and you get oil prices back down into, and the economy will take off. I am David Szafranski, a real American, a true red-blooded patriot, a gun owner, and the voice you can trust.